Do I think Assange a dog? I have no clue. I think he lied about having a shock collar. I think he 100% had a shock collar based off what's on my For You page. Maybe I'm getting psyoped. He's adamant that he hasn't shocked her. But that 100% is a shock collar, as a fact. I feel like that's 100% a shock collar. But I got no clue. And I think when you come in and you say, oh no, you're going to get the Assange call now, I think like you are like genuinely pathetic. Like you are still pretending to live in a universe where it is like brave to speak out against Assange, as if that is not like the popular side to be on. It truly, I think, is pathetic. To be clear, I want no beef with anyone. Assange's community, Asmon's community, Destiny's community. The last time I did, I think Destiny wished upon Slime and the rest of the podcast. If what I said offended you, I apologize deeply. I am Chinese now. I'm leaving Twitch and YouTube anyway for Billy. Seriously, I'll be out of your hair soon.
It carries people forward faster and faster until one day they realize they are no longer swimming but drifting, and the direction is no longer theirs. Ludwig's reflections on his apprehension towards certain online collectives were not a confession of weakness. They were an acknowledgement of scale, of what it feels like to be a person facing the magnitude of a digital swarm. His tone was deliberate, measured, the way one speaks when they've been singed by the warmth of proximity and are still learning how to stand at a safer distance. In that moment, something profoundly human was revealed. The tenderness of fear, the wisdom of retreat, and the dawning recognition that in the age of mass attention, one's boundaries are the final form of self-respect. Every digital ecosystem has its own gravity. There are groups so organized, so ideologically fortified, that engagement with them feels less like conversation and more like entering an arena. The spectators aren't passive. They are participants, commentators, soldiers in invisible wars fought through language and tone. When Ludwig expressed unease about a particular audience, one aligned with a political thinker whose following has grown increasingly fervent, he wasn't merely talking about harassment or discourse. He was speaking about the emotional physics of influence. Some communities online function like weather systems. They move together, absorb energy from conflict, and reshape the emotional atmosphere around them. To encounter one of these systems unprepared is to underestimate the power of collective certainty. It isn't the disagreement that frightens, it's the efficiency, the way critique transforms into culture and dissent into spectacle. To feel fear in that environment isn't cowardice. It's attunement. It's the body's way of saying, this is not a safe climate for softness. For someone like Ludwig, witty, articulate, thoughtful, misunderstanding carries a particular sting. He has built a career on clarity, on the ability to translate chaos into entertainment. But clarity is no shield against interpretation. Online, meaning belongs not to the speaker, but to the swarm. Every word is a seed scattered into unpredictable soil. Some will grow into empathy, others will rot into outrage. The speaker cannot choose. All he can do is brace for the harvest. What we saw in his admission was not frustration with individuals, but despair at a system that turns curiosity into liability. When he apologized, there was fatigue in it, not the hollow fatigue of PR, but the deeper kind that comes from realizing that sincerity is no longer a defense. He had learned, perhaps the hard way, that the internet doesn't forgive. It only forgets once distracted. And forgetting is not the same as peace. Apologies online have become their own art form, part performance, part negotiation. They are no longer about reconciliation, but about survival. When Ludwig offered his, it felt like a man laying down his sword not because he believed he was wrong, but because he no longer believed the battle was winnable. There was grace in that gesture. To apologize, even when one's intent was benign, is to choose harmony over ego. But there was also melancholy. It was the sorrow of someone who has realized that understanding has become an endangered species. Apologies in digital spaces have little to do with remorse. They are a form of boundary maintenance, a way of saying, I wish to remain human, even if you no longer treat me as such. For years, Ludwig has been a performer in the most intimate sense. Streaming is not theater, it's exposure. It is the erosion of separation between public and private, the constant offering of the self for the comfort of others. The streamer's body becomes the stage, the home becomes the set, and even silence becomes part of the performance. To live this way is to live without retreat. Every gesture, every offhand remark, every hesitation becomes a kind of narrative material, raw content for a machine that never stops consuming. And so the fear of certain communities isn't just about backlash, it's about depletion. It's about the exhaustion of being interpreted endlessly until even your intentions feel foreign. His admission of fear was, in a sense, a confession of weariness. It was the moment a performer briefly steps off stage and allows himself to remember what it's like to breathe without an audience. Ludwig's world, like so many born from the culture of streaming, runs on humor. It is the lifeblood that makes critique tolerable and sincerity bearable. But humor has become increasingly treacherous. It depends on context, and context is the first casualty of virality. What he seemed to fear was not laughter itself, but the moment when laughter turns predatory, when the joke leaves his mouth and becomes ammunition in someone else's crusade. In the digital amphitheater, irony is no longer armor. It's bait. To watch someone like him navigate that shift is to witness the slow death of one of the few freedoms the internet once promised, the ability to be playful without being punished. It is a chilling transformation, from humor as connection to humor as risk. Communities built around commentators, especially those who blend politics with personality, carry a peculiar duality. On the surface, they are spaces of debate and discourse. Beneath that surface, they are temples of identification. To question the figure at the center is to question the collective's own self-concept. Ludwig's wariness, then, wasn't about disagreement, but about devotion. He recognized the intensity of belief that animates certain audiences, the way it turns argument into ritual. To step into that current is to risk being deconstructed not as an idea, but as an identity. He was wise enough to sense the futility of appealing to reason in a space governed by allegiance. In that sense, his fear was not of the people themselves, but of the structure that holds them, the invisible scaffolding of loyalty and resentment that defines so many modern digital tribes. Throughout his reflection, there was an insistence on civility, a desire to avoid conflict, to clarify that no animosity was intended. But civility in the online world often feels like a fragile truce between chaos and collapse. To declare peace in a war of interpretations is an act of faith, is to stand in a hurricane and whisper enough. That Ludwig chose peace, that he drew his own exit line, reveals a kind of moral steadiness rarely seen in spaces designed to amplify outrage. His composure was not indifference. It was discipline, the quiet, practiced art of disengagement. It takes strength to resist the seduction of defending oneself, especially when provoked. It takes wisdom to know when silence is the only remaining form of integrity. When he mentioned his departure from a platform that had shaped his career, it felt like more than logistics. It was a symbolic migration, the withdrawal of the self from one ecosystem to another in search of equilibrium. Every digital migration carries with it a kind of grief. To leave is to admit that a dream has ended, that the space which once nourished creativity has become untenable. Yet there is also liberation in that movement. It is the act of reclaiming authorship over one's own narrative. For Ludwig, leaving wasn't escape, but evolution. It was the understanding that growth sometimes requires relocation, not from place to place, but from audience to audience, from noise to quiet.